Good afternoon, friends and family of Teatro Grattacielo and Camerata Bardi Vocal Academy. I want to welcome you all to this Saturday afternoon espresso talk. I have my espresso with me, and together with me, I have a very special person to me. Her name is Polina Lyapustina. She is a young opera reviewer. And these conversations that I have called them the other side of the opera are exactly about the other side of the opera. What do I mean by that? I mean that how do we perceive opera not only through the lenses and through the eyes of an opera singer or an opera director, but also through the eyes of people who work and who operate within the opera business. Some of these people, part of these people, are opera reviewers. Opera reviewers are writers who have passion about opera and who have the knowledge to write about specific productions. So I do not want to keep talking about myself or about what I know or what I presume. I would like to bring in right away Polina and present you this very young and very talented designer and opera reviewer. Hello, Polina.
Hello, and thank you for this super nice introduction. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. And hi.
Hi. So, Polina, first of all, can you tell me where exactly you're located right now?
I'm right now in Vilnius, Lithuania, in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living here for the last 6 years, but originally I'm from Russia, from the very middle of Russia, from Ural Mountains.
Okay, wow. I'm sure you're used to cold.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if you heard it. There is a huge storm coming up our way, and as a good Greek, I have bought a lot of food, and I'm not planning to go anywhere.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. But
Excellent.
no, we have a very snowy winter, but actually we are enjoying it because it's quite nice and everyone is absolutely happy with this weather.
Wonderful. So Polina, I know that and everybody who follows opera in the United States knows about OperaWire. I know that you're writing for OperaWire, but I know that from what I read and what I have discovered about you, that you actually write for quite a few opera magazines in Europe. Can you please be a little bit more specific?
Yeah, sure. I'm writing for a lot of opera magazines here in Lithuania. We have actually quite a few of them. And also I wrote for some other magazines in Europe and in Canada. But actually I started with OperaWire. And I'm absolutely happy and proud that I started with them and I'm still keeping this way together with David and Francisco and the whole team. Because it's just the best way and the most comfortable, I would say, not the easiest, but it's a great platform for me to share my thoughts, and I'm really happy that I was accepted there. But yeah,
right. I mean, everybody in the United States who loves opera, who follows opera, knows OperaWire, and we will have in a few minutes David Salazar, the editor of OperaWire, joining us. But let's start a little bit from the beginning, because I think this is important for the people to know. What was your early approach to opera? How did you approach opera in your young age?
I would say that actually my approach to opera was not really at a young age. And I started with the theater. My family was always deeply interested in the theater, and we lived in a huge city and we had a very nice dramatic theater and lots of tours from Moscow and St. Petersburg. So we attended the performances every week, at least, sometimes twice a week. And I grew up like that, with the theater and with rock music, to be honest, not with the classical music. And I attended musical school, and that was quite all I had about music education. And then I started to write my first reviews about rock music in Russian language. I started like that. And then later I work as a curator in the Gallery of Modern Art. And then a bit later again, I opened my own gallery and I started to write a lot of art criticism. So I got some education on that as well. But that was all not about music. And again, later, straight after coming to Lithuania, I found this passion to opera just out of nowhere and really accidentally. I saw one video and I couldn't stop watching and rewatching it over and over again. And I had a little gap. I decided not to work for a while because, as most of product designers knows, that we have this burnout at our work. So I finished one project and I decided not to go for another straight away. So I had like 3 months and I decided to watch operas. It's not a lot to watch here in Lithuania. So I decided to watch it online. Actually, everything I can find. So I watched, I bought some subscriptions and so on and so on. And also I read about every production, about every singer, about composers. And after 3 months, I had 125 operas in my list, which I watched and analyzed and everything. I had this approach always as a designer, to research, to analyze, to make some conclusions. And after that, my husband said, okay, I think it's enough. Let's go somewhere. So we bought some tickets to Milano, to Paris, and we started to travel around Europe and watch live operas after that. And that was way more interesting and way more exciting for sure. And after that, I started to discuss quite a lot with my husband, first of all. And I think that in a year and a half, maybe, we attended the music festival in Wrocław, Opera Festival. And sitting in the restaurant after the performance, we were discussing what we've just seen. And I was very excited, and I found lots of details so that people could not maybe notice. And there was a man who just sit near us. He came to us and asked, like, for whom do you write? And I'm just like, what? And we were talking, actually, we were speaking Russian. So I never expected anyone around could understand what I've just said. And I said, like, for no one, like, it's not me. I did nothing wrong. And he said, you should. And I was pleased by that and flattered. And I just put this thought somewhere on the background of my mind. But by that time, I read OperaWire as I later found, maybe almost from the very beginning of OperaWire, I guess. So after all, I decided to write to David. Maybe I can start. Maybe I can just send something. And we started from that. And then first I wrote about some Lithuanian operas and their problems. Because, as you know, I'm not really a writer who writing about singing a lot. And then I decided that I need some extra education. So everything I could find officially on the internet, some courses from universities from England, from United States, just to get better with the terms, with their understanding how I should describe one thing or another. So I got some courses. So I think in 6-10 months, just to get my theoretical base better and more solid. And then I felt absolutely happy already that I could actually express everything I wanted. And so we started like that. And I think that my first half of a year were mostly about experimenting and trying to reach some absolutely amazing writers whom I adored that time. And then I found that actually I don't want to be like them. I mean, they are great for sure, but I now know what I want to say. And I started to write about that. And I guess I had this business trip to Paris where I watched 6 performances in 7 days, like watching in the evening, writing in the morning, every day. And I found 5 different approaches to my articles. And from that time, I just understood that, wow, now I'm writing not like a schoolgirl writing about her passion, but maybe I'm doing something really good. And almost straight after that, I started to write editorials.
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed that you have a very particular style and a very own voice, which is, first of all, from my point of view, is something that I really appreciate. I do appreciate when somebody, a writer, a designer, a photographer, a director, whatever we're talking, whatever art form, has their own perspective and their own voice. And definitely, you are one of these people that has an opinion and has a proper voice. And that's why I was so interested to have you with me today, exactly to talk and to explore a little bit more in detail. First of all, you as a writer and also as a designer, why not? But also but also to talk a little bit about modern opera journalism.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about how do you approach a production? Once you have seen a production, what is the next step for you?
Mm-hmm. It's actually the answer to this question would be pretty much about design approach, because I watch it as a designer and I try to, from one side, to put all my personal feelings and my personal experience. But what I know as a designer, that my experience is just 1% as maximum, or maybe nothing at all, because people around me, they see it absolutely differently. And if I don't really understand the audience, I have nothing to do with the expectations. I have nothing to do with the understanding of that. So that's the first idea, to understand who are those people around me. And as I told you once, that I have lots of friends who are way, way older than me. That's the part of this research, actually. They were a part of my research of this generation, but now we are absolutely great friends between us. And then when I need to understand what was it a good production, was it not good production, or any conclusions, it's not about judging, it's about the understanding of what actually is important for me and for the audience, and for the not the audience of the theater and this performance, but for people, generation, or like the world. Because when I started to write about the Opera de Paris, I met this amazing contrast between the very high quality of music and singing and everything, and the absolutely extremely difficult productions. Some of them I liked a lot. From some of them I could learn something, but others, they were just set to provoke people, not in the best way, as I found. And so when I see this, first of all, I'm surely put my own understanding and my own feelings, but then I try to explain it and try to also reflect how it could be for other people. And if I see that something is wrong, I'm asking what was actually wrong. Is it because I felt ashamed or in pain, or it was something disgusting? And if it was like that, should I learn something from it? Should I go further with my thoughts? Maybe it should provoke some thoughts, because we are not always happy, and I know it and I accept it fully. But sometimes I see just details which were put into the production just to be different somehow, just to provoke people to do, oh my God, what is happening? I don't understand. And I had an experience when we were just, one line in the audience, a row, just for opera critics. And there were about 20 men critics from France, 50 plus, 60 plus, and me. And I felt a little bit like, hi. And I forgot, oh my God, I forgot a pen that evening. And I had no idea how to note something. And I asked for a pen and my neighbor. And he was like, for whom are you writing? And I had the best place in the row. And they were like, who are you? Why you have this place? But after the first act, they were like, do you know what to say about that? And I was so shocked, in not in a good way, by this production of Calixta Beta. You can probably imagine by his name, and we all know about him. And they said, all we can write, that was disgusting. And that's it. And I said, no, it couldn't be like that. You should write about the perception of women in our life, about women's rights, about Me Too, about that the idea to rape a person without a reason, which was never meant by the composer or by the libretto or by whatever else. It's not acceptable in our society. We are somehow respect people, personalities, women, and so on and so on. And they said, we are absolutely out of all those trends now. We cannot talk about that. We can mention it, but how should we connect it to the opera? And there I found that I actually know how to connect that to the opera, because we are living in the world and art is reflective. And we cannot really say that it's possible to put art aside and just to think, oh my God, it's so dramatic, because opera is dramatic. We know it and we enjoy it. But if it cannot meet our understanding of morality and humanity, it shouldn't be on any stages, by my personal opinion, and surely not on these major stages.
I couldn't agree more with you. You are getting me very excited, because exactly, let's not forget that opera is storytelling, and opera should be part of the modern sensibility and conversations within the societies. And I would like to bring in right now, to enhance this conversation, my very dear friend, David Salazar from OperaWire.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Polina. Hi, Stefanos. How are you guys today?
Excellent, excellent. May I say that you are, in a certain way, the boss of Polina, in the sense that you are the editor of OperaWire, where Polina writes for. And David, before we plug you in this a very interesting conversation trend that Polina started, that is amazing, and makes me smile. Can you tell us just a little bit quickly, in a few words, what was your approach to opera, early approach to opera?
Is that for me, or I'm sorry?
Yeah, for you, David. For you.
So I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question, because it came in a little bit?
It's okay. I was saying that before we dig into that conversation that Polina started about social messaging and modern times, etc., through the opera, can you tell us a little bit what was your early approach to the opera world? How did you get started in the opera?
Okay. How did I start in the opera world? Well, I guess my interest for opera started when I was probably around the end of my high school years. My father has been a lover of opera his entire life, and he tried to get my brother and I interested for many years, and it didn't quite work out so well. I was a violinist, or I am a violinist, and I played throughout high school, was very passionate about it. But then I went to college. I started kind of opening up my horizons a little bit and looking out into more than just classical music. And then I actually started to listen to opera, and I realized how much I really loved it, and how much broader it was than just, you know, my very limited view of what music was at that point. So from there, you know, that's when I started my passion for opera, and it was pretty much a decade-long love affair at that point, before my brother and I decided that we wanted to, you know, create something like a news website dedicated to the opera world at large. And then in 2016, that's when we started OperaWire.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, David, for clarifying a little bit. And I think at this point, it would be great to go back to what we were saying about with Polina. In other words, how do you take an opera criticism and a review, and you make it about a social issue, something that is modern, something that resonates in the modern sensibility. Do you think that this is important right now for a reviewer to not only dig into the music part of an opera, of a presentation, of a performance, but also into the social aspect of the message, or of the direction that was presented in a particular production?
So if I heard you right, you were asking a little bit about the importance of how we're approaching reviews for opera productions. Is that correct?
Yes, but not in a musical way, not about not making it only about singing and music, but making it, like Polina was saying, also about the social message, the actuality, on what we can learn through an opera that
So I think
today.
So I think everyone has a different approach. So when everyone goes into an opera performance or any interaction with art, you bring your own baggage, bring your own experience, and what you know of the world around you. And so, you know, Polina looks at her reviews are very, very much looking at a huge picture, an analysis of the world that she comes in and takes into the opera world, because she lives in a different context and world than the one that I live in, for example. You know, and I tell my writers when we start working together, I say, I want you to approach it more like from an analytical standpoint. So that's an open-ended approach, because everyone has a different worldview, a different context. But for me, the most important thing is that you're looking at it not as just, I'm going in there and I'm grading a performance and I'm just, you know, looking at something and saying if I like it or not, but actually trying to take a bigger world perspective on what it is you're watching, or why you're watching it, why people are making the choices that they're making on stage. That can come in a wide variety of things. As I stated, the way Polina writes is very different from the way that I write, but I think that the overall concept of an analytical approach to reviews is at the core of what we're trying to do, and that's what that's the main goal and message.
Thank you, Polina. You have something to say? You want to add something to that?
I completely understand and agree, and I just wanted to remind David that, do you remember that we had this case with Wagner Festival when I wanted to go and also another writer wanted to go, and he said, like, let's ask David whom he would prefer to review the performance. And David said, like, wow, guys, you have such a different approaches that it would be absolutely nice to read both these ideas and perspectives and 2 reviews, and we would be okay to publish 2 reviews even of one opera, just because it's gonna be absolutely different.
I am learning so much in only 20 minutes that I'm here, because you know, as I have been a singer all my life. Now I am in another position, but you know, we do not know. We singers, we performers, obviously always look forward to those reviews. Hopefully positive, obviously, so we can brag about it. But we never get to know the people who actually write those reviews, and all the work and all the preparation and all the thought process that goes through an editor or a reviewer before writing this review. And thank you so much. Thank you. That's super exciting stuff for me. And I must say that, and I know that David, you have to go. That David, I am happy to say I consider him a friend, and we will be working very soon together in some projects. And you are a guy that I have, since the very beginning followed so much, and got excited about your view within the opera world, and your views and your work. And thank you for spending a little bit of time with us.
Thank you for inviting me. And it was, it was a brief little cameo, but I'm very happy to participate in, and I'm enjoying the conversation you guys are having. So
thank you so much, David. Thank you. Ciao.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Ciao. Okay, so we're back to us. Now the boss is gone.
No, he is always with us.
Yes, he's watching us. David, I have to ask to add something. Is married to a very, very, very dear person to me. She's also, I love her also as a singer, as a performer, as an everything, as a human being. I am very lucky to call these people my friends. That's Eugenia Fortezza, or I call her Fortezza because I'm doing a little bit of the fake Spanish accent. So let's go back to us. You said something that got me a little bit quite excited, not a little bit, is the fact that you have a designer's perspective of a show, in this case, of an opera. And I want to add to that, and I would like to discuss a little bit further about that I also have a very photographic view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I see the world through photographies. I have always done, and this have served me well in certain cases. Some other cases maybe hasn't served me so well. But I think I understand now a little bit better the way you are writing. And would you care elaborating a little bit more for us? What do you mean by designer perspective of an opera?
Yeah, sure. The designer perspective of an opera actually means that when you're looking at something, you're not just enjoying or rating it somehow. You're always asking why.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I was quite happy and lucky, I would say, that I just started my experience with the real opera, with the best theaters in Europe. It's not like I was attending the local theater and that's quite it. No, I was traveling like at least twice, sometimes 3 times a month, just to watch the best productions ever. Mm-hmm. And when I saw someone who was singing not good enough, I would say, another good critic, and I wasn't critic, for example, that time, would say, yeah, it should be something that maybe it was not enough of coaching or something, or just describe that his line was not perfect by this and that aspect. But what I wanted to know, why was it? Because what I know for sure, that every singer always tries to sing as good as possible. It's not like you're coming to stage to sing so. No, you want to do your best always. And absolutely. I respect singers so much for that. Every singer, those whom we would call the best one, the greatest one, and those who are just began. Anyway, it's always so much efforts coming. And when it's something wrong, I want to know why. And it could be so many reasons for that. Starting from not enough time for rehearsals, or my concertmaster hates me, or it was just a person who is a friend of a manager, which is always very, very often reason, actually, usual one. In some theaters, I know for sure. And so he invites me because it's a small role. But you know, when you have a brilliant cast, like the best one, and then this small person coming out to sing his small role, and he cannot or she cannot reach a single right tune, you're sitting and you are asking why.
Right.
Because it's actually, that's the last thing, is to blame the singer himself. Because he wanted this role. For sure, we all want to grow, we all want to show up somewhere beautifully, and so on and so on. It's all very much understandable for me. But I want to know who actually accepted this to be this way. And I started all those small investigations. Actually, when I'm coming backstage, for example, already later, to meet some brilliant person, I always wanted to ask, and can you please tell me who was this guy who actually cannot really sing, to be honest, but I'm not gonna write about him like, oh my God, he cannot sing. I want to really understand. Is it okay for this theater to allow such people on stage just because of what? Of a friendship or something else? There's always a reason. And at the same time, I started to understand that as a designer, I'm analyzing not always those bad moments, crazy director's ideas or bad singing or whatever else, but absolutely the same is with good ideas, with brilliant singing, or with performances, and so on and so on. You always try to find some background, some more and more ideas. And I'm very, very good, I guess, according to what my colleagues always told about me, investigator. I always can find the roots, how it's all started. And accidentally and sadly, I would say that I found that sometimes, even behind some brilliant performances, you can find some very sad facts, which you would like not to know.
Right.
And I guess that when I was watching the gala concert from La Scala 2 years ago, kind of a year and a half, something, everything was absolutely brilliant. But I was just watching not just the performance, but also the reaction of the audience and how their expectations, were they met or not. And so many small details just came to my mind and I couldn't get rid of it. So I wrote an article which was called maybe What We Can Learn from Rolex Gala. And that was pretty much critical, even though I enjoyed the performance so much. But I found so many problems behind it. And when I sent it to David, he said, wow, that's serious. So first time in my life, he actually returned it to me and he said, now make it so solid and so clear that no one could say, no, it's just personal perception or something.
Right.
Make it as serious as a topic that you chose. And I reworked it, and with time, not straight, as it always happens to reviews, and that was not review, that was an editorial, but also connected to the event, but we published it later. But I was very happy actually when it happened finally, because I was like, maybe I'm coming somewhere where I should not come to. But that was the first probably serious idea, and then I found that maybe I don't even want to think about anything but this. Because if I see those details, at first I don't know about the reasons, but I always want to come and investigate, and I started to talk about that. and I started to build my interviews around that, not about the singing. I do interviews not that often, I would say rare, but I'm coming and I'm asking not about what is your favorite role or tell me about the most challenging moments in singing this or that part and so on and so on, but about some problems that are behind the stage from one point and maybe not that popular, but from the other side, it's so common for everyone, as I found.
Right. So you said something that kind of triggered me, and I would like to finish this podcast with this question: what is the, I guess, thin line, I suppose, between personal perception and a strong case?
Well, I actually would answer, wow, I actually have a very good answer for that. And I think that my very good friend Bernardo, who is also a critic, once reminded me about that. He said, do you know what I always see in your articles, which are always about problems and so on and so on? He said it's all about humanity.
Wow.
About how you apply humanity and respect to the humankind and to singers and to the industry if everything works good in your articles. So I would say how I feel. It could be sad or angry or something. It's one side, but it's just the beginning. And then I go and then I estimate how what happened served or maybe threat or maybe hurt the humanity and the world around. And if it does good, that's good. Not personally, not for me, but actually for the whole world around. And if it's not, I'm gonna fight it. Actually for this world and for humanity. And maybe it's a big word, but actually this word is the very basis of the whole criticism on Fridays, for example. Because I'm coming, I swear, I came to Germany because I wrote to David. I said, I'm so tired and so sad about the case with Metropolitan Orchestra. I want to go to Germany because I know I find something good and positive there. And I found actually, but then I found something that actually were so bad for the humankind, for some particular groups of people, and also for every person in the world, if you know about this case. And I decided, no good words for them. I will be sad again, I will be angry again, but I will write the truth because it's the truth which must be heard. So I think that this line is this, if you can apply the word of humanity here, it's not your personal anymore, it's for everyone, and you can actually talk aloud about that.
Polina, let's leave this conversation with one of my favorite words, humanity, which you are full of it. I knew that from your writings, and that's why, even though I have never met you in person, I knew that I was going to present in this podcast an amazing human being, and a person that knows exactly what she's doing. Congratulations to you. Thank you for being with us today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present to whoever follows opera in any kind of form, from singers to just, passionate to audience. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present them with somebody who writes about opera in opera magazines.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and for your very kind words. Thank you. That was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. A good night, everybody. And I will see you again at the next one.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.